To order, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Sarah, could you do roll call, please?
President Bucher,
Here.
trustee Barheit,
Here.
trustee Brooks,
Here.
trustee Polly,
Here.
trustee Faber,
Here.
trustee Hopkins,
He is absent.
and trustee Gant.
Here.
Did we meet open meeting compliance?
Yes, it was posted on Thursday, November 13th, both at Village Hall and online.
Okay, great. Trustees, do I have approval of the agenda sequence?
I have no changes.
Okay. Okay. All right, for president's comments tonight, I would like to take a few minutes to remind everyone that we are seeking members for the newly created Sex Offender Residency Board. We need 3 members. And we will be making those appointments as soon as we have some applications for that. And then we will be opening up the application process for all boards and commissions in December. And those would be for appointments with terms ending in 2026. The applications will be due on March 13th and the appointments will be made on April 21st. And then ahead of the public hearing for the I just have a few comments to address some of the concerns. And the first would be that last year we restructured our budget. We transitioned from a line item checkbook style budget to a category-based GFOA compliant budget. That is the gold standard that's recognized by the Government Finance Officers Association. This format clearly shows what it costs to run each department. So yes, central services did go down, but that's because some of those dollars were placed where they belong. So we took each department and we allocated funds for the resources that they used. We also made adjustments to our firefighters and paramedics. They were long overdue in increases. That was causing some high turnover, expensive retraining, and additional costs for new equipment and pre-employment screening. So we will go into the budget. We will go into public comments. Please address the board, no back and forth discussions, and there is a 3-minute limit. Mr. Ross, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hello, Rob Ross, 20423 Isola Avenue, Lake Villa. And I'm just going to start out with one of your agenda items. It looks like you're going to vote whether to approve $80,000 to hire Von Briesen to rewrite your zoning code. I actually hope you do. And I want to remind you that your garage ordinance comes in 2 flavors, private and public. Private limits size, use, and the vehicles that can be stored within. If you do hire Von Briesen, I'd appreciate it if you could just confirm that with them. The next thing is I see I have on the agenda renewing your contract with the county to review and issue zoning permits. And one of the sentences that you have added to the contract is the village shall be solely responsible for the administration, enforcement, and interpretation of its ordinances. You do have a village attorney, Todd Terry is a prosecutor, and John Carrier is a property enforcement officer. Is my opinion, even though you're adding that sentence, which also makes me happy to clarify, you've always had the responsibility and liability for enforcement and interpretation of your zoning code. And then I've also gave you each a handout, and I received an email from Todd Terry not too long ago that records that I have requested for a very long time were finally going to be available, and that a thumb drive would be available for me to pick up. Every open record request I have sent is for, not every, but many, 7014 284th Avenue. The thumb drive contained numerous emails, many attachments. Every single one of them was for 2690 75th Street. I wanted it for a residential property. It's for a commercial property. I don't understand how that could slip by your village attorney, that not a single bit of information I was provided was for the property I wanted. What I also found it interesting is that in the information I was provided for that commercial property, there's an email from someone who is trying to get a permit for a commercial property project that was addressed to Ben Feibelkorn, who does permit review for the village. And just reading a few bits, I'm a bit confused by the July 28th response letter that I'm only receiving on August 11th. The problems with the village of Salem Lakes are becoming more clear every time I apply for a permit. I'm starting to notice a recurring theme in Village of Salem Lakes. Urgency seems to be optional, especially when it comes to getting anything back to the taxpayer in a timely or realistic fashion. If this is acceptable, that's fine. I'll take my concerns elsewhere. And then he also puts in there, please let me know what the plan is. In a few weeks, we will opt to a new direction. It doesn't seem like that is the best method for being transparent and building trust. One, not giving me the correct records, but I believe my time is up, so I will quit there. But included in the handout are violations that basically you don't want to enforce, even though you're property enforcement officer.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Sandy Jacoby, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Sandy Jacoby. My address I will list as Westosha Senior Community Center because I'm here to come to speak on their behalf. 19200 93rd Street, Bristol, Wisconsin. But again, this is a senior center that serves the village of Salem Lakes among 10 other communities. Okay, we're a large geographic area. I just simply wanted to acquaint you with our requests that we've made for you in the budget and provide you with some of the positive things that will result if you are as supportive as I hope that you will be. As the only Kenosha County Senior Center that offers both social, fitness, health, educational, creative, and nutrition activities west of the Interstate 94, we serve a very large geographic area that of course does include Salem Lakes. In 2025, the center had 285 members with a yearly fee of only $15 for a year. Of those 285 current members, 154 gave us Salem, Trevor, Wilmot, Camp Lake, or Silver Lake addresses. Please note that membership is not required, but is a booster style group for our seniors that are active in supporting our community. All the seniors and the volunteers, for example, in 2024, totaled 7,204 volunteer hours. And then later in 2025, by July, had already contributed 3,735 hours. The center served literally over 550 persons for special events and approximately 250 persons for daily meals and activities per month, including a Meals on Wheels operation that goes out of the center itself. Many Village of Salem Lake senior residents receive services even beyond those that are in the 154 and members. In May of 2024, a senior member volunteer donated stone tile valued at $7,626 from her B2B business at no cost to the senior center to replace broken tiles and shifted floor foundation in both the men and the women's restrooms that are 9 by 18 feet in size. Those tiles have been there since the 1950s. 1950s. Bids estimated the materials and the cost to remove these and install the newly donated tile at only $15,000. All the toilets, stalls, wash basins, hand dryers, cabinets must be removed and then put back in those restrooms. Then new tile, of course, installed. Gathering senior citizens for 15 weekly activities and education groups requires a very proactive health measures on our part, and we hope on yours, supported with a durable, efficient building to include level restroom floors and tiling that's no longer broken in order to reduce the slip, trip, and falls, especially with more rain and snow ahead of us right away. A clear reason to move forward with optimizing a health and safe senior environment is that the U.S. Center for Disease Controls has identified that isolation and loneliness are as detrimental to seniors in their health as smoking and obesity, and that's smoking 15 cigarettes a day. While learning new skills, in contrast, builds more neural pathways to reduce the onset of dementia. With exercise activity per se, with classes like our Tai Chi and such, that those would reduce dementia by 50%. Safe personal hygiene space for both men and women's restrooms allows seniors to remain longer at the senior center for those activities. We'll be pushed indoors by this wet, cold weather, just like tonight. Our fitness, our social, our educational activities every Monday to Friday will flourish in a much safer environment with your support. With the center's 2025 budget expense at $108,340, the purchase of services funding for senior citizens is a quality investment for Salem Lakes itself.
Sandy, I'm sorry. I'm
right.
going to have to call time. Can you
We'll
just
wrap
wrap up? Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Allowing us to live longer, stronger, more independent lives has to be a goal for the senior center, but also for Salem Lakes, for your 14% of seniors. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dean Hinsman, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Dean Henchman at 10103 278th Avenue, Camp Lake. I've had a home there for 25 years. I've seen boards come and go. I've seen staff come and go. And I'm here to just, I guess, show support for both staff and the current board. You simply are, if your goal is to hope for a board that's going to say yes all the time to your wishes, they're not being a good board. Boards should be made up of people from different backgrounds, different strengths, and different tenure. We need people that can tell us what happened 25 or 30 years ago. We need people with modern mechanical skills. We need people who basically grew up here their whole lives. To have a board where it's just a clean slate, start over, is just wishful thinking. It's been tried. It didn't work. And I just felt that with the election season approaching, number one, to keep it civil. These are human beings up here. They typically have other things going on in their lives than just serving our community. Some of the false personal accusations are just bullying. It's just not adult. I'm sorry. As well as staff. Be kind to the staff. They're doing their best. Everybody here is doing their best, and no one's perfect. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dean. Okay, number 8, public hearing on fiscal year 2026 proposed budget. 8.1, public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget. I'm going to open this public hearing. and ask anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this item to please come forward. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone to speak in favor? Okay. Is there anyone to speak against? Anyone to speak against? Anyone to speak against? Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing and proceed. 8.2, review and approval of the proposed 2026 Village of Salem Lakes budget, resolution number 2025.10-139. Resolution for adoption of the 2026 Village of Salem Lakes budget, establishing the village tax levy to support said budget. So I'm going to open that up to anyone on the board or staff who wants, I guess, Jay, maybe if you want to talk a little bit. Jay's virtual.
Yeah, I can jump in, President Bucher, if
Supposed
that
to
would be
virtual.
appropriate.
There we go. Maybe.
I can see you.
There he is.
I think we can hear you.
I can talk
There.
now. Does that work?
There he is.
Great.
All right. Awesome. Good evening, everyone. Hello, President Bucher and village board members, staff, and members of the community. Just a couple of brief words regarding the budget, if that works. I'm impressed with your team. You should know that you have a new to finance director position, but not new to finances and how the village works. And Kristen, she did a great job working the numbers. Sarah, Brad, experienced individuals assisting the budget process as well. And in some instances, for the first time, have all stepped up and led in a really positive, proactive way. The budget that before you is a little different than what you've seen in the past, from the standpoint that it does have an annual borrowing that is inserted into it in order to conduct the infrastructure improvements that are so vastly needed for all organizations, including Salem Lakes, moving forward. This positions you really, really well for the future, from a financial standpoint, and has a relatively minimal impact. I know any impact on taxes and levy and the actual rate, the mill rate, is important to your constituents and taxpayers, but it's also important to keep up on infrastructure and improving and maintaining your village. And this budget does that. I can try to answer any questions that the board might have. But again, just wanted to say good job to you all. You all attended the workshops, village board members, and asked really good questions and challenged staff, and they met that challenge and presented what I think is a really positive 2026 budget that's before you.
Thank you. I'll open it up to the board if anyone has any questions or comments.
I have some comments with regard, you mentioned the mill rate. And for people who really don't appreciate how important that is the common denominator. How much is your tax dollar per $1,000 of assessed value? Every municipality has it. Every school district has that. Our mill rate proposed for next year is $3.18. That's the third lowest that we've had since we formed a village in 2018. In 2018, our mill rate was $3.54. As a comparison, Paddocks Lake mill rate was $5.69. We were $2.15 less. This year, ours is $2.95. So on $100,000 of assessed value, your tax would be $295. As a comparison, again, Paddock Lakes is $3.50. So that same $100,000 assessed value would be $350. In the Village of Summers, it would be $375. Pleasant Prairie, $394. Our increase is 23 cents per $1,000 of assessed value. From our beginning in 2018, as I mentioned before, was 354, then 335, then 345, then 320, 326. In 2023, we were down to 270. That was the lowest. This year was 295. We've gone through the budget a number of different times, item by item. We've taken out things that we just felt we couldn't afford. As you all may know, we're borrowing $1,900,000 on a 1-year note. We'll pay that back this coming year and only raising our mill rate 23 cents. You may have read Twin Lakes is borrowing $2 million, but they're paying it back over 5 years. So the interest rate is 5 years of interest. Ours is just 1 year of interest. But I personally think that in all the years that I've been with the village, we've never gone over $4. I have many comparisons that there were $5, $7. Paddock Lake at one time in 2017 was $7.15 per thousand. We've been a very affordable community. And at this mill rate, I believe, well, it does. The numbers prove that we still are. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'll make a motion to approve the budget.
I will second that. Trustee Gant,
Yes.
trustee Faber,
Yes.
trustee Polly,
No.
trustee Brooks,
Yes.
trustee Barhype,
Not liking this one. I think we needed to cut more, find a place to cut it. But I'm gonna have to say yes, because we have no other choice right at this moment.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries 5-1. 8.3, review and approve 2025 budget appropriations, resolution number 2025.10-140. A resolution authorizing a change in the purpose of certain appropriations under the 2025 budget for the Village of Salem Lakes. So Jay, I'm going to ask you to talk to this. We can't hear you. Hang on.
Thank you. That was my fault. This is in regards to the action that took place at the last village board meeting regarding the approval or attempted approval of the not moving of some funds, but of authorizing the moving forward with fund reason that was mentioned for the rewrite. That line item is for more than what is available in 2025 budget. And trustee Polly pointed out that it should have an action to move the funds in advance of approval. So I did check with the league, had some conversation with your village attorney.
I don't think that's this one. I think this is the one where we're moving money.
From the general to the capital, the $450,000 of the unappropriated
Right.
general fund surplus.
That one.
My bad. This is part of your budget process approval. It's a action that has taken place in the previous years as well. So this is the amount that you budgeted in 2025 for capital, and this is the end of year movement to square that up.
Got it. Okay. Are there any questions or comments?
Why is it going to the capital improvement fund? Set it back into a general fund.
You're actually using that capital improvement fund to fund projects in 2025. So it's a practice that the village has administered in the past few years, budgeting for capital and moving the money at the end of the year.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. I will make a motion to approve resolution 2025.10-140.
Second.
Trustee Gant,
Yes.
Trustee Faber,
Yes.
trustee Polly,
Yes.
trustee Brooks,
Yes.
trustee Barheit,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, motion carries. Number 9, trustee comments, reports and requests. 9.1, public safety liaison update, trustee Hopkins. Trustee Hopkins is not here due to a family obligation. So I will be reading his report. So for the Kenosha County Sheriff Department, in October, we had 424 calls in 2024. This year, in 2025, we had 398 calls. So calls went down 6.53%. In fire rescue, we had 93 calls, 2 for fire, 79 for rescue, 7 hazardous conditions, 4 service calls, 1 false alarm, and 21 MABUS calls. Kenosha County Sheriff's Office also received a complaint from the Silver Lake Postmaster that carriers are unable to deliver mail due to cars parked blocking the mailboxes, specifically around Depot, Spruce, and Elm Streets. That's all we have for the public safety. We'll go into 9.2, Southeastern Wisconsin Fox River Commission update, trustee Hopkins. So he says for old business, completed the Fox River restoration at Wilmot area, sewer pack survey from the Waterford Dam to the Illinois border, Vernon Wildlife Area, DU impoundment restoration, Racine County shoreline projects, and flow gauge for Racine County of Emergency Management. For new business, 2023 implementation plan, the Fox River Watershed Hazard Mitigation Plan / Regional Coordinator Group, and the Fox Bend Wetland Restoration Project. And then last, the Margis Phase 3 Shoreline Protection and Access Improvements. Other business included report on activities of the Fox Waterway Agency of Illinois, a report on the future of Echo Lake Dam in Burlington, a report on Fox River Watershed TMDL progress, the Watershed Protection Committee of Racine County and Kenosha County Regenerative Producers, and last, the Sewer Pack website update. 9.3, Lake District updates, Silver Lake Management District, trustee Gant.
Yeah, the Silver Lake Water Management District, they're working on a water quality control management plan, a grant for that, okay? And they do have a meeting coming up December 17th. It's their annual meeting, so.
Okay. Volts Lake and Camp and Center Lake Management Districts, trustee Faber.
Old Lake has had their annual meeting, and that's also their fourth quarter meeting. The one thing I didn't mention last time is that they've been advised by Sewer Pack to consider the possibility of manual or mechanical harvesting in a couple of areas. The lake is getting overrun with lily pads, and it's very difficult to get those riparian owners out to the lake. Camp and Center Lake, as I mentioned at our last meeting, as far as harvesting is concerned, there was 270 tons of vegetation that was taken out of the lake. And their fourth quarter meeting is this Thursday at 6 o'clock right here at the Village Hall. And that's it.
That's it. Okay, great. 9.4, EDC update, trustee Polly.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. So coming up here, we're going to be getting together with Village of Paddock Lake to come up with an outline presentation on some concepts that we might be able to join forces and do the road consortium potentially and get that the funds from the state, or I should say that the partial grant. So that's what's getting together for a meeting is what's coming up next.
Great. 9.5, library board update, trustee Barheit.
Nothing new to report, but we weren't able to go to last meeting because we had a meeting here at the same time.
Okay. 9.6, park commission update. I'm not sure if there's anyone from the park commission here that wants to give an update. Okay. Okay. 9.7. Accessory dwelling unit ordinance revision request by trustee Polly. So trustee Polly did ask for this. We did discuss it and we have already approved the going forward with the zoning rewrites. And so this will be part of it. However, Pete has some other things he'd like to discuss and maybe some work he could do ahead of that to help us through that process and make it a little bit more streamlined.
Sure. Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, to kind of recap where you're going with that. When we originally were having those discussions and talking about having an agency corporation company come in and go through our ordinances, this was like kind of one of the things I was a little bit worried about in regards to stopping forward progress in the interim, because that can be somewhat of a long drawn out process. So with that, it just recently came to my attention that we have a somewhat of an accessory dwelling unit ordinance instead of having to create one from scratch. However, it's extremely outdated. So my understanding was for me to speak tonight was that we could potentially come to some form of a vote on moving forward with having staff and myself review for potential changes that could make it more applicable to today's time, and then that we would also potentially need to run it past if we do make any alterations past legal before bringing it back to the board. Is that correct?
Correct. So we had also agreed in the past that if it was going to take resources such as legal and staff time that is outside of the norm, that the board would decide if this was something that we wanted to go ahead and spend, dollars on. So,
So I do have a couple things that I could just list off that
Yep.
the current one, and I don't know if it's appropriate not to ask Andy Bueller, but I think this may have landed in our codes as part of when we became a village and we adopted some of the county's ordinances. I think might be where it came from, and it might really pertain more to taking care of like farms and estates. But it's a couple things that I noticed, like there's requirements in there that whoever moves into the ADU has to be related by blood, adoption, or marriage. Like that needs to go. Review and potentially alter entrance requirements, because it actually has where to not look like a separate structure in any way, shape, or form, which is actually it would inhibit rescue and fire from doing their job. We want that to actually be pretty clear if they would be responding to those. There's a couple other here. I've probably got about a total of 8 items that kind of jumped out at me when I did a review of that existing ordinance. So it's not very applicable. Part of working with staff would also include coming up with in our ordinance, it does have the 2 different sets of zoning, right? And so coming through, finding out where is it applicable, and then what do we need to do to it to make it applicable to enough of the community. So and I just want to follow up with one more piece of information. I did some research as to other communities. This includes Chicago, Madison, communities around the state of Wisconsin. What is the percentage of uptake of people going through the process to either put a standalone accessory dwelling unit, convert an attic, or convert a basement or a garage space? These are the kind of the typical options across the whole country. And typically it's less than 1% of all feasible residences or per se properties take this up. So when you take our number, which I think we have about 5,600 single family homes, it comes to roughly 34, 36 accessory dwelling units we might have on a full uptake after a number of years of this being in place. So a lot of times people worry about like, are we going to turn into a trailer park? Are we going to, what kind of problems could this bring? Whatever. This has been common across the country. It's under a 1% uptake. It's not a solution to the housing crisis, but it's a piece of the puzzle. So I think there's value in us getting our ordinance in line with today's needs and thoughts, as well as just bringing it up to the times. So I hope to receive the support of my fellow board members.
okay. The only thing that go ahead.
I have a thing that I'd like to add to our agenda. Earlier this year, we talked
Oh,
about,
we're not at agenda requests yet. We're just talking about this one still. That's next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I will say on this, Pete, we talked about this as well, is that, you know, our staff is a little busy right now because we don't have an administrator on board. So if you could try to, you know, keep it a little light on them until we get a new administrator, and then, we can certainly look at that. So that's my only ask, but, um, other than that, I would be in favor of, relooking at this ordinance and bringing it up to something that makes more sense for our community and in today's times. Is there anyone that is not in favor of relooking at this ordinance?
None.
Okay. All right. Ramsey, I don't know if we technically need a motion for this, do you think, or? Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Want me to craft something here? All right, so I'd like to make a motion that the board authorizes staff and myself to work together, follow up with the attorney to try and create a rendition of the accessory dwelling unit ordinance to meet today's needs that would then later be presented to the board for consideration and approval.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone? Yes. Yeah, it would go through the same process, yes. Okay, anyone against?
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. 9.8, future agenda requests.
I have a request that earlier this year, we talked about Angela, in fact, you appointed Angela and myself to work together to form a committee that would contact the other lake districts and have a lakes meeting in January or
Yeah.
February after the season's over with to discuss things. There's 4 lake districts in our village. Camp Center Lake is the largest with an assessed value of 461 million, and it's a whole watershed area in that one. Hooker Lake is second, that's 156 million. Silver Lake is 115 million. Volts Lake is 24 million. Almost 2/3 of Volts Lake is owned by the Benedictine brothers. So that's not developable. That's the reason it's so small. But totally, these 4 lake districts represent $757,546,000 of our assessed value. Our new assessed value is $2,355,834,000. In the last 2 years, that's almost $300 million that was added value to our village. We're the 3rd largest village in the county. Naturally, Kenosha's number 1, Pleasant Prairie number 2, we're number 3. But we represent, these 4 lake districts represent 32% of our total value. It's a big deal. We know that's why people moved here originally, was for these lakes. And each one of these districts do things to control the vegetation, the invasive species in their lakes. And it's about time that it would be a benefit for all of us to sit down and talk about who you use, how much it costs per acre, and should those discuss those things so that there might be economies that can develop out of this. So that's what I'm asking for, is that we put that on the agenda to allow Angela and myself to contact and come up with a date that we would have a meeting
Sure.
here.
I can put that on the next agenda.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right. Any others? Okay, we'll move on into administration. Discussion and possible action on the following items. 10.1, presentation of final candidate for village administrator and confirmation appointment by the village board. Jay, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll start off. The village has been at this process for a bit, working through the recruitment, and I don't want to discuss the whole entire process again with you, but you did pursue applicants, had quite a positive response of 19 individuals that were highly qualified for this position. The board then selected, a subset of the board selected to interview in person 3 candidates. Those interviews took place recently, and I'm happy to report that the board has authorized myself to negotiate with the candidate that is being presented tonight, and that President Bucher is going to introduce in a second. And I know that he's really excited to serve, and you'll be able to hear from him in a minute. If there are any questions about process, I can try to answer them.
Okay, great. Okay, as Jay said. So I would like to take this time to announce our selection and introduce him, and then the board will we'll take a vote on it. So I would like to take this time to introduce Michael Kostiuk. Michael is a proven leader with a strategic focus, professionalism, and a collaborative approach. His background in organizational leadership, budgeting, and community engagement positions him well to guide the village forward, and we're excited to welcome to our community. So Michael is going to come online, and then he's going to tell us all about himself. Welcome.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Village President, Village Board members. My name is Michael Kostiuk, current Chief of Police for National Falls, Minnesota. I bring with me approximately 20 years of public service. During that time, I've been in increasingly high supervisory roles, culminating in the Chief of Police position. My educational background includes a criminal justice degree, as well as a master's degree in public administration. As far as my priorities with this position, if I'm appointed, I hold transparency, accountability, integrity in high regard. I think what you're going to get with me is a dedication to speaking to the public, specifically community members, and understanding their desires and what they want with the community, conveying that to the elected officials as well as department heads. But in my experience, I think communication is the key to any successful venture. So my first priority would be to speak with everyone in the community that wants to talk to me and figure out what our shared goals and visions are for the community. Man, extremely honored and excited for this opportunity, and I hope you all are as well.
Great. Thank you, Michael. So Michael does have his Master of Public Administration with a concentration in local and city government, a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice, and multiple leadership and command certifications. I will be sending out a press release tonight, but there are hard copies here if anyone would like one for the media. So with that, I'm going to open this up to the village board, and I would like, if you have any comments, and then we can go forward with a motion. Does anyone have anything they would like to say? No? Yes.
I was very, very impressed with the interview that we did with Michael, and happy to see that he's accepted our offer, and look forward to working with him.
Yes, do I. All right, Michael is going to start on January 5th. So with that, I will make a motion to confirm the appointment of Michael Kostiuk to the village administrator position.
Seconded.
Trustee Gant,
Yes.
trustee Faber,
Yes.
trustee Polly,
Yes.
trustee Brooks,
Yes.
trustee Barheit,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you, Michael. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll continue on. 10.2, contract for law enforcement services with Kenosha County in the amount of $663,701.23 for 2026. I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Number 11, planning and zoning, discussion and possible action on the following. 11.1, resolution 2025.10-141. A resolution amending the Village of Salem Lakes 2025 general fund annual budget, transferring $15,000 from account 10-22-522-08-002 planning consultant strategic plan to account 10-22-522-08-001. Planning consultant zoning code update to fund the zoning and land division ordinance rewrite.
I'll make a motion to approve that. Transfer.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 11.2, request to contract with Von Briesen to rewrite zoning and land division ordinance not to exceed $80,000.
Madam President, Sam
Yes?
is here with Von Briesen.
Oh, great. Hi, Sam. You want to come up? Okay. All right, you can go ahead, Dennis. All right. Do you have anything to,
I can just briefly introduce myself. Andy and Brad went through the whole selection process and I'm the candidate. So if you have any questions for me or anything now, I'd be happy to answer them. But again, my name is Sam Schultz, Von Briesen. I'm out of our Milwaukee office. I'm a certified planner in our firm, so they call me a non-attorney professional, but we come with attorneys as part of our project proposal. We also proposed partnering with Rinka, who's an architecture firm, to help out with some of the public engagement, which you all identified was a pretty strong priority, particularly at the beginning, to kind of set the tenor of the full conversation that we have with you all over the 12 to 18 months in our proposal. We also proposed bringing with us R.A. Smith because your request was also for some land division updates as well in your subdivision ordinance. And of course, R.A. Smith, as an engineer, has a lot of expertise both here in Salem Lakes and elsewhere regarding those engineering related ordinances, surveying, things like that. So we thought it was a nice team to bring it all together. Again, 12 to 18 months for the full project. We'll start with some public engagement and, investigation research staff. In the middle, we'll probably go a little bit more quiet, although there are some updates that we would propose bringing forward to the Plan Commission kind of in chunks. So they're a little bit more digestible as we go through the process. It's not just dumping a full, 200-page document on anyone's desk. But by the end of that process, then we move into a final adoption process towards the end of the full project to kind of bring a new zoning ordinance and land division ordinance. We envision this mostly as a full-scale rewrite. There will be a lot of individual items or topics that we would bring in from your existing ordinance as you identify that you like the way they're doing, but from an organizational perspective, more often than not, we end up consolidating a fair amount of things using graphics and tables to make it a lot easier for your staff to administer and also for the public to understand. And then for developers to have a good set of rules that they need to follow when they come in and propose developments for you all. So, our staff at Von Briesen does this in a variety of different communities. Currently working on one in the city of Cudahy, city of Sheboygan. We just wrapped up one in South Milwaukee. We also do a lot of continuing work in the village of Mount Pleasant, which obviously has a lot of development, but also a lot of similarities insofar as it's a community that incorporated more recently from a town to a village. So I see a lot of similar aspects of, just trying to get, more modern codes. So with a lot of experience in that, we're happy to do it. Happy to answer any other questions that you all have.
Just that there's some big concerns amongst the members of the community. And you mentioned Mount Pleasant. We're pretty rural, segregated community, if you will, between, farm fields in between, or hamlets, if you will. And some people don't like the word hamlets, but whatever you want to call it, we've got different centers of population.
Sure.
And so, I guess out of the gate, one of the things I want to say is, like, there's some things about Mount Pleasant that aren't necessarily what I'm hearing from the community that we're interested in.
Of course.
So just kind of you brought that up, so I figured I just tennis ball back at you to say that I don't know that that's necessarily the guiding light. But we'll find out what that is through the process of what the community is interested in, right?
Yeah, I bring that up more as an example of our experience and kind of working with the day-to-day administration of zoning. We find that sometimes, the difference between us as being a more legal focus than sometimes perhaps some of the other applicants you got through your process or other planning firms is they don't have as much experience doing kind of the day-to-day. How does this work? So, I bring up only the Mount Pleasant experience in that I think a lot about, like, how does this ordinance look like as a permit, or what does this look like to someone from the member of the public trying to read and understand it, because I receive those calls in other aspects of my job, and so I have to explain it. And so I think that having a foot kind of in both worlds helps us create a better product for you all in the end. I would never assume nor anticipate that something for you all is the same at Mount Pleasant. And I think the same is in reverse. Like, Mount Pleasant wouldn't want what Salem Lakes wants to. Every community is unique, and we want to build that character into your code. So yeah, just a pure experience thing, not a what I would expect to bring to you all. Thank you.
Good question and good answer. I've had the same concerns.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, Dennis. did
I'll
you-
make a motion to have the contract with Von Briesen to update our zoning.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Great, thank you. 11.3, contract for general zoning and shoreline floodplain zoning ordinance administration with Kenosha County in the amount of $125,000 for 2026.
The red line version is in your packet. Staff's recommendation is for approval. That 125,000 is only if we do not collect 125,000 in permit fees. We pay the difference. So the fees are going against that 125. If we only do 120, Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we only do 120, then we owe them 5,000.
Okay, so for clarity, I always thought, up until what you just said tonight, that we paid 125 plus 70% of each permit. So you're saying, is it 70% of each permit goes towards our 125 then?
I'm not aware of the 7.
Yeah, so you have the zoning contract and then the building inspection contract. So from a zoning contract, the fees that are collected offset the cost. So the current cost anticipated is $125,000 as indicated. But there's going to be fees that are going to be collected all year long for zoning permits and projects, things that come before the Planning Commission and the board. And then the difference is then paid to the county for those services. Additionally, through building inspection, it's a whole separate fee structure. The building inspector receives 70% of the fees that are taken in for building inspection to cover the cost of building inspecting and issuing permits. And then the remaining 30% comes to the village.
And in previous years, like say last year, the year before, Have we broke even, had a surplus, or had to pay? Do you know?
So the contract that was for the previous 2 years was $95,000, and the village needed to pay, I'm gonna remember, around 40,000. So the other amount of fees was taking in fees, and then the shortfall was about 40,000. And for building inspection, again, it's just a 70-30 split.
Okay, great. Okay, I will make a motion to approve the contract with Kenosha County in the amount of 125,000 for 2026.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Andy. Number 12, Fire Department, discussion and possible action on the following items. 12.1, Salem Lakes 12th Night Celebration. Chief?
Good evening, Madam President and Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'd like to bring forward a concept and an idea for your support and approval regarding a time-honored tradition called 12th Night. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It has been around for many centuries and is a celebration of the end of the season and a celebration of the renewal of the upcoming season. And it's very typical for fire departments and communities where they allow the community to bring forward their used and discarded Christmas trees, natural Christmas trees, after Christmas to a point where we identify, drop the trees off, and on the 12th night after Christmas, which in our case would fall on January the 6th, incidentally, same night as a board meeting, where the fire department hosts a bonfire. And essentially, it is a centuries-old tradition observed by many parts of the world, representing both the end of the holiday season and the renewal of light into the new season. In the process, we would host the event through the fire department, probably behind the fire station, where we would provide hot chocolate, popcorn, snacks, things like that, and also provide an opportunity for community members to make donations of winter clothing, coats, hats, and things of that nature. My experience many years ago with other departments is it's a great way for the community to get together. It's a joyous time, and it brings us into the new season together. And it's something that we're exploring the idea of. I think that we're going to move forward. The only hurdles we have is getting past the January 6th meeting. We would like the community to be a part of it as well as the board as a whole. There will be more information coming out through the month of December and where the community can partake in that.
Okay.
That's called 12th Night. I think Brian had a thing he was going to stick up there for me, and I think he passed out. There he is.
Oh.
All right.
Nice. Okay.
I guess real quick, it looks like on that flyer that he pulled up on the screen there that it take place at the fire station.
Correct. We're speculating at this point. We have to clear a few things out, but it'll be back behind fire station number 1 in Trevor, and plenty of opportunity for folks to gather there. We can collect a pretty good amount of trees and have a fairly spirited bonfire back there.
I think it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we'll have some fire apparatus close by.
All right. That sounds great.
But we'll be here.
Well,
Perhaps.
we may change the date of the meeting.
Okay.
I'll look at that.
We'd like the community as a whole to partake in it. It's a great way that we can
Yeah.
all come together as a community and celebrate each other.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. 12.2, renew the contract with Brighton for fire services in the amount of $68,716 per year for 2 years. So this would be for 26 and 27.
That's correct.
I will make a motion to renew the contract with Brighton.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Well, I have a comment. We've provided that service for Brighton for many years,
Yes, sir.
but we also share that with Kansasville. So we only really participate in
half,
part
right?
of the community that's closest.
That's correct. We basically split it in half.
I just wanted our citizens to know that.
We work very well with the folks from Kansasville. Brighton is very pleased with the support that they get from both communities. We work well together, both in mutual aid calls. We find ourselves at times sharing responsibilities on border calls. And so far, the relationship is a healthy one. We would like to maintain that.
Great. Do we have a first and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Thanks, chief.
Madam President, before I leave, I'd like to take a moment and kind of exploit our excellence, if I can be so bold. We continue to grow in staff and enhance our training. We've had a busy several months with some unique and challenging calls recently. And one I'd like to highlight, if I could take just a moment, we're going to do this more appropriately with the people that were involved, but I just want to bring it to everybody's attention that when the hospitals do their reviews, quality care reviews, they recognize different departments for excellence in performance. On the 19th of September is one case where our people responded to a vehicle flipped over in a ditch with an occupant trapped inside. That particular occupant was pulseless, non-breathing at the time. Our crews, which consisted of Chief Torres, Chief Keski, Kyra Miller, and Eduardo Cruz, all did superlative work. The patient was extricated quickly and safely. They were able to recover spontaneous circulation. In the process of recovering that victim, they lost circulation 2 separate times, performed appropriate cardiac monitoring and life-saving behavior, and ultimately recovered the patient. Now, it's not uncommon to have pulseless non-breathers and traumatic events like that. However, this one is unique in the sense that throughout the year, at least to date, this is the only patient that walked out of the hospital under their own power at the end of it. We classify that as kind of a big deal. So our people are continuing to do excellent work. We're very proud of who they are, and we're going to recognize this particular crew and others in the very near future formally. But I want to bring it to your attention that we're an expensive business. It requires a great deal of training, equipment, resource management, and dedication. And in times like this, it absolutely pays off. So very proud of our people and just want to make sure that they're recognized.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
I've got something I'd like to add to that. That accident started where I live. This individual hit a tree, just missed a telephone pole, and hit a tree in my yard. And from the time I heard the crash until the time I heard the sirens, it just seemed like minutes. They were there just immediately. And fortunately, it all worked out good for the incident.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Number 13. Treasurer's Office, discussion and possible action on the following. 13.1, approval of vouchers in the amount of $827,882.79 for September of 2025.
Hi, good evening.
Hello. Does anyone have any questions for Kristen on this item?
I don't.
I don't either.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers for $827,822.29
$0.79.
882.79 for September.
for September.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? 13.2, approval of vouchers in the amount of $762,678.71 for October of 2025.
I'll
I-
make a motion to approve $762,678.71.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? 13.3, expenditure reports through September and October of 2025.
The expenditure reports for some September and October. I do want to apologize for the delay on getting you the reports. We are currently projecting under budget. I apologize, I don't have the number exactly in front of me, but we're about 73% under budget currently from year to date from last year.
Under budget?
Under budget. Or I'm sorry,
73% of the budget?
of the budget's been used. Yes, sorry.
Woo, we're good. All right. All right, great. Any questions on this? No?
No.
All right, Kristen, thank you.
Thank you.
Number 14, Clerk's Office, 14.1, approval of minutes from the village board meeting, November 4th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Approval of minutes from the special village board meeting held on November 10th, 2025.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I abstain.
Aye. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Good night, everyone.